Hello everyone, welcome to our lecture 4. I'm Shukriya Shorkar, welcome you in our new class which is based on encapsulation. In this class we will learn how to implement how to implement a situation which has a properties of encapsulation. In the first lecture, we discussed what is the encapsulation. There are a few features of object-oriented programming. That means a few specialty of object-oriented programming, and one of them is encapsulation. Encapsulation means data hiding simply. So when if we restrict the outsiders to access our data inside one class, mm, that is called encapsulation. So let's begin the class and see how to do this. So I want to recall the previous class a little bit. In previous class, we learned how to create a class, then an object inside a class, and then how to return the object and their attribute value. So here we created a rectangle class. So inside we know that rectangle has a few properties which are height and width. So here we can use these attributes while we create. Before that, we have to create object. But inside the class, we have to create a blueprint of or prototype of that object. So here inside the class we have written a function, that means a method which is a constructor, a default constructor, init constructor. The function of this init method is to create a template of that object inside the class. So here self is just by default just it has no other functions. It is just a convention. Then our attributes are height and width. So we have to pass this inside in the parameter list of in the argument list of init. Then there is a colon which is a convention for a method. So after that, we use self dot height to create the attribute, and it's here we pass the value of that attribute height. But as it is general, we are just doing generalizing the class object, so we are not assigning any value here. Same thing is applicable for width also. So I think you all know, you all have learned in the previous class this portion. So next, outside this class, this is outside portion because I have just started from this left alignment. So we created object under this rectangle class. So the first object name is rec1. So rec1 is our first created object under this rectangle class. And now we have passing some values. 5 is for height and 15 is for width, whatever. I just assigned a random value. So now I created another object and passed through the rectangle class. So now we want to return the value. So I just printed height of rectangle 1. So it was 5. We have passed 5. And for rectangle 2, I just want to know the width. So it was 12. So the output comes here 5 and 12. So that's it. This is our learning from previous class. So now we have to implement some properties of encapsulation here. The thing is, here you see outside this class, you can write you have written that the value is 5 and 15. If someone writes some string value here, passes if someone write and this function this class and assign some invalid value, that means like that should not be a property, so should not be a value for a rectangle. like if any negative value, if some string value, these are not possible to have in a rectangle class, or properties of a rectangle. So if I use -5 as height and 15 as width, so it will produce the produce if I do any calculation using these values, it will create a negative value, which is not possible. So um, so here these are invalid values, but if someone write those and pass those values, and it will generate a output. So it is not possible. This is absurd. So how to restrict these things that outside can use this data to pollute or to destroy our normal procedure? So it should not be. uh, so how to restrict the outsiders to use our inside things? So we have to use encapsulation, so so that we can hide our information of a class, and only some information, so it should be done by using a excess, we can restrict the excess of our data. So how can we restrict those data from outsiders? So here we can do this by creating some special function or special method. So here you can see a screenshot, which is here I created some extra methods here. This is our constructor, init constructor, to generalize our class or attribute values, attributes of our created objects. So this is all the same in the previous slide. Now here I created some extra functions, which is where there are two kinds of function, two kind of method, which is used for set and get. That means in the set function we will create, we will just assign value, and for get function, get method, we will return that value. Okay. So here we had two attribute, height and width. So for in case of height, if I want to assign some value or get some set some value for height, so here I create a function which is set height function, set height method, and pass the value of height. So self is by default, we know that, and here the attribute I passed, that is height, or you can write any value, value, any name of that attribute. So I passed height. So here as we the purpose of this function is to assign set some value. So I write self dot height equals to height. As usual, this is also done in the constructor, or the initial while we initialize the object attributes. So here which the purpose of this set height is just assign the value. So next, if I assign some value in set height function, then we obviously I want to return that value also. So for returning value, I used get height function. So as when I want to return the value, I should not mention the value, because it is also already mentioned in the say while I set the function or set the value. In this, in case of set function, set method, I have to assign the value, but in case of while I want to get the value, I should not assign, because it is already assigned in the set method. Is that clear? So in the get method, I just want to return the value. That's why there is no extra parameters, extra arguments here. This the only one self is here. This is default. So here I want to return the height. So here I write self dot height. That means it will return the height. Self means the object name, and the attribute name is height. So it will return this method will return the value of height. Uh, these two method is also should be declared for width attribute also. So as usual, we I just write for width also, set width and get width. So these two function, this set width function will set the value of width, and get width function, method, get width method will return the value of width. So if I do some extra calculation, like I want to find the area or using those attribute value, then I write another function, uh, area, as area will generate the area, and the equation, I want, if I mention the equation, how to produce this area, so that I just don't need to mention any extra parameters, because it should not be, because from the get width and the set get width and get height function method, we can return the value of height and width. So I write here, returns self dot height multiplied by self dot width. So it will return the area of that particular rectangle. That means the object name is here self, but in while we want to return the value of any object, it will be the object name. So for that particular rectangle, uh, the height and width will be multiplied, and we will get the area of that particular rectangle. So this is the template or the blueprint of a rectangle, particular rectangle created object. That means our created object. This is the blueprint only. So how to access those information outside outside of this class? So let's see. If I generally we do that, we create object, and we pass the values through the class. This is the general process, and for using this general process, we get, if I want to see the want to know the area of rectangle 1, then it will produce 3 into 4 is 12. So this is how without encapsulation we do that. But if I want to use this get and set function, then how can I do? Here we can do that rectangle dot set height. Set height means height will be set by this function. So I just pass 10. That means I want the height of rectangle 1 is 10, because but in the previous line it was what, it was 4, but now I just want the value will be 10, the height will be 10. So now what will be produced? So it will produce the new area will be 10 into 3. 3 is the width and 10 is the new height. So it will produce 30. So the new area will be 30. That means our code is working. We can access, we can say, set the height, new height, or any height of any rectangle by this set function, and it can be also returned by if I just print the here I just want to I show you that the area of a rectangle. But if I want to if I just print here the get value of this height, it will show us that the value 10. If I use this as here I just set the value of height, but if I want to print the value, the assigned value, I can use print get height. It will just return the value of newly assigned height. But the screenshot does not show that. So this is how we can use the set and get function and assign value and return value. But the problem is still now people can access the information outside of this class, because still now we can write this kind of statement that rectangle 1 equals to, after that still now we can write that rectangle 1 equals to any value and pass any value here. It will also work. Still now it will also work. That means only assigning this set and get function will not work to impose encapsulation, to restrict outsiders from accessing information. Should do more constraints. So I have to use more constraints here. Another thing is this function set and get function is also called setter and getter. So the title of this slide is setter and getter. So this can be this can be called setter method and getter method. So what I was telling you that still now, if I write rectangle 1 equal to -4 comma 3, it will also work and generate a negative value of area. So it is not the complete thing that we want to impose encapsulation. So if I restrict people or restrict other persons to access my information, I have to impose private option. If I keep my information private, the outsiders cannot access those information. We all know that it is a general sense. So how can I do that? For this purpose, any object-oriented programming, any object-oriented concept has access specifier. That means I can restrict a class information inside the class. I can restrict other people's to have those class information from outside of that class. So how can I do that? It is called access specifier. So I can um, um, specify the permission. So who can access which information, I can specify that. So there are three kind of specifier, which are public, protected, and private. Public information is accessible from outside the class, from anywhere of that class, if whether it is inside or outside. So at first we were talking about private. Still now we have created only private attribute for any object. So it is very easy to create it is very easy to create private attribute. So it is natural. So the next thing is protected. Protected can be accessible from protected information can be accessible from within the class, and also available to its subclasses. So it is not also what we are just want to do. Uh, so the next thing is private. Private means no one else can access who do not have access of that information. So my information is private means only few people or who has permission to access this can access my information. Inside the class, my information can be accessible. Outside the class, it should not be accessible. It cannot be accessible. So let's see one by one how we can create public attribute, private, and protected attribute. So here we just use the same example. Here we create some create a init constructor, and here we make the attribute height public. How the attribute is public? So to know there is only the name of that attribute. There is no underscore before that. Underscore. One more thing is important for this lecture. Uh, for any other object-oriented programming other than Python, that means Java, C++ has keyword. That means here class is a keyword to create a class. You already know that class is a keyword meant for class. So while we want to create any class, we use class keyword. For creating a public class or a public attribute or any public function, public method, we use public keyword. There is a keyword public in C++ and Java. So in Python, there is no such keyword like public, private, or protected. So how can Python help us to do to declare our attribute as public, private, or protected? So this is the way underscore. Here in Python we use underscore to distinguish which attribute is public, which attribute is private, and which attribute is protected. There is no underscore. That means before this variable, before this attribute, there is no underscore. That means this attribute is public attribute. So here I just make a comment, which means this attribute is a public attribute. You should not use here underscore, or it does not make any difference if you use underscore here. It does not, it will not make this private or protected attribute, because it is only the value. you are you are declaring the attribute type here, not here, not in the right portion, only the left portion. So if as there is no underscore, it means that height is a public attribute. There is no underscore here, that means it is a public, also a public attribute. So all the informations can be accessible outside this class. So here outside this class I write rect1 equal to rectangle, and passes whatever I want. So because it is a public attribute, the informations are public, so I can use this, and I can pass whatever value I want. So here I passes um, passes 4 and 3. So I want to see I want to see the I want to know the height of rectangle 1, so it will show us 4. That means I can successfully access the information, access the attributes. Okay, now protected. In case of protected, the difference from public to protected is there is a underscore before the attribute name. Height is the attribute name, and there is an underscore, one underscore. Remember that there is one underscore. So this means that this height is protected from others, but any subclass can access those information, but it will not works for encapsulation. Still now, if I write anything outside this outside this class, it will work. Here I write I passes 4 and 3. If I passes minus 4 and 3, it will also work. All the information will be accessible outside of this class still now. So there is one underscore means the information is protected, the variables sorry, the attributes are protected, but not private, so it can be also accessible. So here you see it is also accessible from outside the class. One more thing, I did not use underscore in the value part. I just use underscore where we write the attribute name. So height is the attribute name, so I use underscore here, not here. It is simple, it is the value only. So here I used a private. How I make it private? I use two underscore here. There is double underscore. You see there is double underscore. So it means that it is not, it is not private, not public, or not protected. It is only, sorry, here is the wrong, this is a wrong comment. It should be private attribute. This is a private attribute. There is two underscore. So in both cases there is two underscore, so it is private attributes. So now if I write, if I want to print the value out from outside, if I want to print the value or access the information of height from this statement, it will create an error, because the error shows us that rectangle object has no attribute underscore height. There is no attribute because the statement or the object cannot access the inside information. So it produces an error. So if I use this access specifier in case of encapsulation, I can restrict others to access my class information. I can restrict them. So here I just rewrite the same code as I write in the first rectangle example. So here I use get function and get method and set method. Also, I declare the attributes as private attribute. Here I use two underscore. All my attribute name has been changed. I use two underscore everywhere, and now I want to access the information outside the using the set and get method. And now what happened? You see here I just write rectangle 1 equals to rectangle 3 and 4. Here I declare another, I created another object rectangle 2. Now the here I want to modify the value rectangle 1 underscore underscore width equal to 20. I just modify the width was 4. Now the width is 20. I modified the information. But now still now I am not inside the class. I am outside the class. Here you see I am not inside the class. I just the alignment, that is no I just started the code from the just left portion. There is no indentation, so I am outside the class now. So here I um, modified the width value of rectangle 1. Let's see what happened, and printed the area. So what should be the area? If the rectangle has height 3 and width 4, the value will be 12. But now as I modified the width, so it should be not 12, more than that. But the output is showing that it is 12, because this line does not work. Rectangle 1 dot underscore underscore width equals to 20 is not working. That means I cannot access the private variable like this. I have to access the private variable through that class, okay, or get or set method. So I can access outside from outside of that class. So here I am outside that class, so I cannot modify the information. So it is showing that the value is still 12. Okay. So what if I use the set and set method? Yeah, here I use set width method. So now I pass 20, the same value, and see the area has been changed. It is showing that the area is 60. That means here the area was 3 into 4 equals to 12. But as we pass the value through the set width method, now the value should be 3 into 20 equals to 60. Now the method can help us to modify the value. Okay, so that's all. I hope that you have understand the lecture. You have understood the lecture. If you have any questions, we can discuss about that in the live class. So thank you for listening, and see you in the live class.